Hey, my friends, Chad here. I have a very important message that I want to share today in this video. And this is for you if you're someone who feels stuck in a job or doing work that you feel like you don't align with deep down, that feels like it's taking your energy from you. And maybe you have this feeling or inner calling inside, this whisper, this voice that is drawing you toward something else. It's telling you to go against what everything around you and what you've grown to believe. It's telling you to go against what your parents might be telling you you should do, or what school has taught you is the realistic, safe route to go to have a happy life, to have a fulfilled, abundant life. And among all of that, you still feel like you don't align with the traditional kind of path or way of living, right? You feel like you have a calling where maybe you want to do something different, maybe something risky but aligned, right? That you feel would actually excite you. Maybe it's something creative, right? And that actually would fulfill you on a deep level, but you don't quite know how to get clarity on that. And you also feel like you don't really have the trust or belief enough to make that change and move in that direction. If you resonate with any of that at all, whether you're maybe have visions of being independent, an entrepreneur, or maybe you just have visions of doing something that maybe somebody killed that dream, whether it's being an archaeologist or like a marine biologist or whatever it is that excites you, or maybe it's traveling the world, right? Um, I used to think that unless you were a famous actor, unless you were like some of these select pool of things, unless you were like a famous actor, an artist, or like a business owner, that you had no other choice but to just work a standard job, pay bills, and it's normal that you don't enjoy it. Work is work, right? And that it was normal to accept the fact that you don't enjoy work and that adult life sucks once you finish school and get out into the real world. And this way of thinking had actually caused me to dread adulthood. It caused me not to look forward to adulthood, and it caused me to shift into the paradigm of, okay, well, let me live it up now. Let me live it up while I'm young, right? And this is what, this is where that comes from. And this is what can cause you to spend your teens and early 20s exactly like I did, just, partying, drinking, socializing, in crazy amounts, not thinking ahead, putting off all responsibility, putting off any kind of thought because there's so much programming on top of you telling you that you're on the route. This is what you do here, this is what you do there, and there's no other choice unless you want to be some crazy person. 99% of businesses fail. Like all of these programs that are instilled in your um, psyche, even unconsciously. It's a very common pattern in modern day. Okay, but people are waking up to it, and yeah, so this caused me to dread adulthood, and I'll tell you kind of how my story went. But basically, I finished college and again didn't think ahead and had no plan and all of that, and basically spent 4 years partying. Okay, just to be honest. Okay, and once I finished school, I ended up getting a job and then another job and then another, and just standard jobs, right? Like some sales roles, some more like admin roles, and just doing kind of general things. And it had no intention behind it. It was kind of a take whatever I can get approach. It was take whatever falls in my lap. Like one of them I got through a friend, one of them I was working as a bartender. It was the only thing I knew how to do to make cash. And so I had no intention behind these things, and it was no question why I didn't align for the long term in any of those things. And I started to feel a buildup of dissatisfaction, misalignment, and my inner voice, intuition, authenticity, whatever you want to call it, authentic self, started to get louder and louder and louder. And yeah, deep down, I didn't feel right, right? I felt like I was selling myself short. I felt like I had this inner calling that was pulling me towards something different or creative, even if there's risk involved. right? And eventually that voice got louder and louder, and it drew me toward researching other lifestyles and expanding my awareness on what is out there, right? And what career and different career paths. And it caused me to read books on entrepreneurship and watch content on people doing, different things, creating brands, creating businesses in ways that they're able to do what it seems like there's more life there. I'm sensing it, and I'm like, why can't I do that? Why not me? Right? And so this actually led me, let me take this gum out. This actually led me, how rude of me, the speaker, to chew gum while I'm talking to you. This led me to one of the biggest paradigm shifts that I have ever had. Okay, and I'm going to share it with you right now. It's not that you can't do what you want in this world. It's just that most people believe that they can't. And most people succumb to the majority of common think. Okay, and voila. After realizing that, not just knowing it, feeling that, experiencing that, integrating that understanding on a deep level, that took a lot of experimentation, a lot of thought, a lot of feeling, a lot of intuition to integrate that understanding. But voila, I learned mistake number one of building autonomy and aligning your life authentically to what you're actually meant to do here, even on a deeper level, on a soul level. You could say, if you continue to follow this inner voice, which we're going to talk more about. But the mistake number one is think for yourself. Okay. And when I say think for yourself, I mean from a place of authenticity, underneath all the limiting beliefs, underneath all the programming, underneath the external influences or interferences that are causing you to not have the courage and clarity that you deserve to know how to walk your path that is right for you, that is going to lead you to what no one else will understand, but you will on a soul level what you're meant to do here. Okay. This is hard because as young people, which I assume a lot of you are pretty young watching this, we're so malleable. We're so malleable, and the external programming from society is designed to make us think small and to kind of just be employee oriented. It's no secret that this is the way that the school systems and just other common think that is. You could read MJ DeMarco's Unscripted book, and I would highly recommend you do that. You don't even need to read the whole thing. It goes deep into like entrepreneurship strategy, but the first few chapters will talk about the script and how most people are just following a common narrative and not questioning it and just succumbing their whole lives to what is, not wired or designed in your favor with your best interests involved. Okay. There's no secret. I'm going to make more videos on this stuff as well. Okay. But yeah, and this advice from this place, it's passed down generation after generation, and most of our parents have stuck to this advice too, and it's passed down, and it's what's kind of proven to be a comfortable, safe route, yet it neglects people's true callings and true interests for the most part, right? And it can be so hard to believe because of that level of the heaviness of that blanket that is on you, and the external influences, and people like your parents steering you wrong. Like that's a hard thing to question and cycle out of. Okay. But some of us are different, and some of us have an inner whisper and a calling that is strong enough to pierce through that eventually. Okay. And it will burn and burn and get greater and greater until you can't ignore it anymore. And that is the process that I went through. And I can't tell you how many weekend hangovers that I had to have to, have my intuition keep getting louder and louder and telling me unaligned, 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 right? I can't tell you how long I went through that until it became so great. One day I literally remember this moment. I call it you can read MJ DeMarco's book. A lot of what I'm talking about here stems from there. That's one of the biggest things that shifted my paradigm in this direction of thinking for myself and building a life that is in line and in alignment versus just what society tells you to do. Okay, but I had a moment where it's called the FTE, a fuck this event. Okay, I literally stood up in my room while I was working in the job I was in. I was working a remote role, but it was very vast. It wasn't aligned for me for the long term. And I told myself, I don't care what happens. I'm gonna embark on my true path, like whatever that was. I think I said something like, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. But I stood up and I declared it to myself. I was like, there's just no way that I'm putting up with the cost of not honoring that inner voice anymore, right? Because there's a cost to it. You're paying a price either way. There's a price for taking the comfortable, safe route, and there's also a price for ignoring what you feel called to do. Because on your deathbed, when your time comes, right, which everybody does, we're human beings here, and our soul and our spirit will go somewhere else, and we'll live on from there. But in this life, this is the chance to do what that inner whisper's calling you to do, what your soul has came here to do, what you've done, what you've been put here to do. And there's a cost to ignoring that, and that is regret and yeah, losing out on what you could have been if you didn't chase that. And most people are trying to just go safely to the grave. Like people are living too comfortably for the reality of the situation. Like why not take a risk? Why not try it? At least if you mess it up and you learn that it's not aligned for you, which is highly unlikely by the way if you're actually connected to your intuition, but even in that worst case scenario that you're actually like, oh shit, I listened wrong and now I'm aligned to getting back into where I was. Like at least you know you're all in at that point. Like you can't mess it up, you know what I mean? And so people just need a little push and they need to know how to get clarity internally, okay? But yeah, I had this moment and I was literally like done. I was done. And so what spiraled on after that is I tried many businesses. I tried to try and make my own thing. And I learned a couple more lessons here. I'm going to talk about them here. So what I tried at that point when I had that FTE, I was trying to make money online. I wanted to urgently escape my current situation and I wanted to make money online somehow and travel the world. Okay. What I was doing was I was trying to make money quick. I was trying to make like a digital wall art store, like a t-shirt store, and I was kind of pursuing a little bit of what interested me, like graphic design and art, and I was selling like my beats that I was making, which was a passion of mine. But I was trying to do things to make money quick, and I ended up getting into like freelance copywriting, and I was making money with some of these things, by the way. I got a sale or two from the store. I got a sale or two from the beats, a few sales. It was actually quite inconsistent, but it came in. And then the copywriting, I landed a couple clients. I was working with them, but I was still learning so much, I was barely getting paid. And then this is where I also came into another place of confusion and frustration. And I'm like, like I just want to get out of this. And now, lesson number two, play the long game. Pursue alignment, not make money quick. This was lesson number two that I learned for myself, okay? What do I mean by play the long game? You don't want to rush things. Your path is never going to need urgency or rushing. And honestly, alignment is what you're after, right? And the reason I failed in these things are because I didn't align with them. And I was too urgent and desperate for making the money that it didn't cause me to go into the level of depth and attention and focus required to make something like that work. Right. And some people can use and override and use pure discipline and grind and grind and grind, but that's harder. Yes, you can succeed that way. And yeah, I was getting into the early stages of making money that way. But I realized that I was, again, moving off of what was aligned. I was moving away from that intuition again to try and make money quick. Okay, not that the money's bad, and the money actually will come in its greatest quantity and its most in the most fulfilling a way for you in the exact right amounts that you need if you follow your intuition and work with alignment and not just making money and not optimizing just for the money. Okay, so that's the lesson number two that I learned because in reality, if you actually find something that is aligned to you, and we're going to talk about finding something and also talk about immediate things that you can do to get out of an unfulfilling situation, and align yourself to support you in your venture. And I've done this multiple times. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Yeah, if you work with what is aligned to you in terms of what you feel like you're interested in, what you're curious about, what you're fascinated about, what excites you in your being, what feels warm, and what gives you laughter and joy when you think about approaching it, that is the key. And sometimes it may be a longer game, but it's worth it because you're gonna, one, from a competition sense, I don't think like this anymore. But think about the person who's just using discipline, and then think about the person who, in their entire being, they're excited to do that thing. Eventually, you're gonna blow past anyone like that, right? So there's two different ways of operating there, right? And it's not just about blowing past other people. It's about that is what you're going to wake up excited to do. That's what you're going to stick out for the long term and not deviate into something else. And that is what's going to truly fulfill you. And you might not be fully clear on that. And it unfolds and shapes and shifts as you evolve, because that's the process of what we're doing. We're evolving here. But that is the key alignment, okay? So from there, I accepted playing the long game after I learned that, and I was like, oh, I got like copywriting clients here. I'm like trying to sell beats here. I got like a store, and I was doing these things at different periods. So don't give me the objection of like, oh, well, Chad, you're trying too many things at once. It wasn't that. I was going through phases with it, and I was just looking back on all of it, and I was like I still, there's something missing. What do I want? And then I started to get that emergence of. Actually, I'll say this first. So that still left me stuck. It still left me stuck, but I learned that lesson of, oh, I need to find something aligned. But then it still left me stuck knowing that, okay, this may be a longer game, but I'm open to playing it because I don't want to settle for something that isn't going to make me excited to do it. But I was still stuck in the job. I was still stuck working an unaligned job that I had no immediate way out of it, right? But I still wanted to travel. I still wanted to experience life, move away from my hometown. I wanted to develop and raise my awareness and consciousness, but I had no idea how to do that. And so I started to look toward different jobs at this point, and I was getting closer and closer to learning this next lesson, lesson number 3. Okay, this is the exciting one in this video. This is probably going to be the most potent. Okay, so I started to look toward different jobs, and I was getting closer. And it's very powerful if you can understand this. I was getting closer to what I'm about to tell you. Lesson number 3. This is what I learned. You can become an aligned apprentice, is what I call it. Okay, I'm going to break it down, but meaning that you can actually find jobs that are in the area of your interest quite easily. Okay, in the area of your interest, meaning aligned, and that would support you. And there's layers to this. Let's talk about it, but that can support you in actualizing your inner calling, or actualizing the venture or true path and what that is, and at least embarking on that and moving in that direction. Okay. Or maybe it's not an entrepreneurship thing, and maybe you just want to get a certain specific job that someone killed your dream that you couldn't get, right? That either is the thing that you want to do, or closer to that, so that you can build toward that ultimate occupation or career, whatever that is, right? So you can become what I called an aligned apprentice. This is what I call it, and this is what I did, right? So I had little clue what type of thing I wanted to do. I just knew that I liked making music. I liked making YouTube videos, actually. And I liked talking about self-development and living and breathing self-development and understanding things like on a deeper level and developing and overcoming challenges. And I had a hunch that I wanted to help people do that. Hence what you see me in now doing in some shape or form, right? But that's kind of what it was for me in terms of what my inner whisper was pointing me toward, right? So I'll talk about the aligned apprenticeship piece, but what I started doing immediately was just starting to use my free time to build my social media and YouTube and continue to make music for fun. And I had a trust that keeping on moving in that direction, even though I didn't have things fully clear, would help lead me to where I wanted to go. Okay. But then I transitioned into being an aligned apprentice out of my current role, and I went into remote sales specifically. Okay. This isn't all about remote sales. I used to make videos about remote sales, and honestly, there's so many more different vehicles you can use to be an aligned apprentice to support your path. And I'm going to talk about that because I no longer on this channel just talk about tech sales or just sales. Okay. There's more to this. There's more in this. There's more in just a career. It's about alignment. It's about connecting and integrating with your authenticity to uncover what your soul's mission is and supporting. And sometimes vehicles like sales and maybe other vehicles that I'm going to talk about can help support you in that. And there's a skill involved in acquiring that and supporting yourself from an income standpoint, but that is aligned to you. And that's what I'm going to talk about. And that's what I help people with doing. So then I transitioned into remote sales because I had an expanded enough awareness through finding mentors and researching to know that this was a role where it would allow me to develop and learn skills that are actually valuable for me in my area of interest and to sustain myself independently, right? And being remote, sorry, one second. And being remote, it would give me more freedom and flexibility to travel and do the things that I actually wanted to do, right? Now, I'm not saying just remote sales is the best thing to do. I've actually shifted my perspective on this, and for some, it can be a very vigorous role, right? But the key here is aligned apprenticeship, and there's levels to it, okay? So I'm going to talk about this for a second, but just kind of recapping where we're at. I know what it feels like to be stuck in somewhere where you just want to get out and you want to experience the world and you want to experience things, and that's an immediate issue. I'm telling you, the process is connecting with your intuition. Your intuition is going to give you the immediate best next step for you. And if you know how to do it, and if you learn how to do it, I'm going to talk about it. But also, there's a practical side of this as well, right? There's a practical way to learn how to navigate the ship in this modern world in terms of skills and knowing how to apply and land for a role and sell yourself to an aligned apprenticeship if that is aligned for you and if that gives you the opportunity to support yourself in your self development, in your true calling, right? It's going to look different for some people, okay? But the principles are the same here, okay? So there's levels to it. So what you really want to do, there's three different ways you can basically optimize. There's honestly there's many different ways you can optimize for this. You can find either one, an aligned skill that you want to learn that supports you, whether it's sales, marketing, copywriting, whatever it is. For example, if you know that you want to build like let's say a coaching business, you can learn a skill. You can either learn how to do sales for the coaching business, marketing for it. Heck, you can become a coach there, or heck, you could even just become an assistant there for a coaching company, right? Or to take another example, um, another skill could be, um, let's do speaking. Let's say you speaking. Let's say you want to be a public speaker, or you want to be on stage speaking. You could literally you could literally do something that would cause you to need to speak. You could train people. You could do seminars. You could work for a seminar company. You could see how it's done behind the scenes, right? You could be a speech pathologist, depending on what it is that you actually want to do and if it's aligned, right? There's so many different things, okay? The second thing you can optimize for is just optimize for an aligned area of interest or expertise that you want to master. For example, let's say you're really fascinated by self-improvement or self-development or health or spirituality or bikes. Like whatever it is, you can find work that supports you in that, right? Like how many motorbike companies are there that you could work for remotely even? How many spirituality companies are there online or influencers that are talking about spirituality that need hired team members, right? People don't believe that they can get roles, and it's very simple. And I've honestly spent countless of thousands of dollars. It'd be scary if I told you how much I've spent on knowing how to navigate myself in this modern world in terms of interviewing, finding, landing roles, knowing how to approach it and stand out from other people getting them. And it's not actually that hard of a process. It just takes self-belief. Okay, but there's so many, like, expand your awareness. There's so many things you can do to start actually being interested in what you're doing and be able to literally immediately quit the job you're in if it's not serving you anymore and get into something that's actually going to start building you and building your knowledge or building your skills that's going to support you in doing that thing that your inner calling is calling you toward. Okay, and then also continuing to do it on the side, right? The third thing you can optimize for is an aligned workload. You can also optimize for an aligned location, right? If you just want to move and lower your expenses and go to Thailand or go to South America, whatever it may be, you can find easily roles that can help you do that. Okay. But aligned workload can also be where maybe you make less money, but you have more time and more freedom to work on what you actually want to work on. And you just need to solve your basic needs. And maybe you want to travel and move abroad and get out of the place you're in. Okay, so there's many different ways to cut this, okay? And so I just want to instill that in awareness in you that hey, it's okay if you don't align with what everybody's telling you to do. You're different, and ultimately if you can connect and start trusting your intuition, that's what's going to lead you to the best place. Okay? And so I've also helped people do this. I've paid for my own mentorship. I've gone through my own. I've landed several roles. I've landed very competitive roles in industries that are very competitive, and I've helped people do this as well. Okay, and I've been doing this stuff for about 3 years at this point. And if you're someone who wants to build your own thing, here's something that you want to keep in mind. Don't make the mistake of optimizing too much for the money aspect in the job. Okay, I fell into this trap and I took jobs too far farther than I needed, putting my all into it to make 10K a month, 11K a month, 12K a month and months, 12K months, 11K months. I've had these big figure months. It wasn't always like that each month, but it takes a ton of effort and a ton of responsibility to get to that point. And I lost myself in it. I lost myself in the status and the money and thinking that that would give me everything. And at the peak of that, I was kind of like, I realized I had neglected what I actually wanted to build, and I was chasing something that wasn't any longer aligned, right? And so this is where you can't forget that you're doing the job as a supportive income to help support you in your true venture. This is for people who feel like they want to build something of their own. Okay, for people who want to do a career, that's totally fine. Pursue the peak of alignment that you feel with it. Okay, but if you're trying to like build your own thing, don't forget that what you're doing is you're doing the job as just a supportive income stream to help support your true venture. And yes, sometimes it's going to take more from you than you'll have time to work on your own thing, but it can help in unveiling your path and giving yourself time and clarity and supporting yourself to do what you want and invest in areas that you feel like are aligned to you to develop in the ways that you need as well, right? So this is where choosing your apprenticeship comes in handy, okay? And there are countless things that you can do. And if you learn what I'm going to be talking about on this channel and other videos and my community, which I'm currently building, you can, one, get in touch with your authentic self. This is step one. People don't know how to access and listen and honor that inner voice that is guiding them and that has been guiding them, that they sense it. You sense it, okay? And then step two is align yourself to support that calling. Align yourself to support it. And sometimes it's not always like you have to force and it's not always acting in the practical, although there's a place for that. And some people need that to get started and get momentum. But sometimes it's literally like if you honor that intuition, the universe is going to orient you with the right information, the right opportunities, and things are going to shift in your favor because you're working with the flow of your soul. Because that's a very deep thing, but that is a very true thing. And I've experienced that for myself where I've literally been aligned and shown almost literally like, hey, this is the next step, do this. And I'm rolling with it and I'm listening to my intuition. I'm learning how to get more in touch with it, okay? But here's some examples of some roles that can actually like just to expand your awareness a bit. But before I do that, I want to just let you in on like a little bit of a shift. And this is really what shifted things for me as well. But Imagine a life spent doing what was safe but unaligned, and you make it safely to the grave, comfy, cozy, with none of the excitement or alignment or fulfillment that you really could have felt. And you suffocated your intuition and overrided it with, oh, I should just work hard and be happy and escape on the weekends. And that's what everybody does. So I'm going to do that. Or just selling yourself short of the ultimate reality that you could have crystallized, right? Are you waiting for the next life to give it a try? Right? Like we have to put things in perspective and the amount of days that you have as a human being. Like you might as well take the risk. You might as well honor the intuition. And by the way, it's going to keep you safe. Okay, your intuition will never steer you wrong. It's never going to put you in a place where you aren't taken care of. Okay, and that's a core understanding that stems from giving yourself the confidence and belief to do this work. And I can touch on more of that in other videos as well. But I wanted to give you that little shift because if you can put yourself at envision the end of your life and looking back on it, that can light a fire. That can really do something. Light a fire in you. Okay. So I'm going to end this video right after sharing a little bit of some other examples of aligned apprenticeships, right? And so remote sales is a great one. And you could be an SDR, you could be a BDR, you could be just a sales rep. You could be an appointment setter in like the influencer coaching space or education company space. You could be like a customer success person. All these things you can work remote. Most of the people want more freedom and remote, but some people will want specific type of careers, and that's totally fine as well, right? But I just want to expand your awareness because these roles can really help you just completely work on your laptop and then have the freedom while also building skills, while also building sales and professional skills, speaking skills, right? Like, so you have to think about what feels aligned to you at the time, right? You could do marketing roles. Marketing is amazing. Marketing is literally communication and helping people understand what it is that you offer. And then if you're someone who wants to be independent one day, it's going to be a massive scale as well as sales, right? Let's say you're into content creation. Let's say you could literally be a video editor for a company. You could literally be a podcast assistant for a podcast you like. You could literally be anything. You could be an operations person for a company that's in the spirituality space if you're really into spirituality, right? And you could learn and even grow and develop and even learn from the people there if you want to become like a coach or become whatever it is, right? You could even just do admin roles and live abroad and work for a company and just do some stuff that is maybe tedious but is aligned because it allows you to open your awareness, support you income wise, and give you more time and freedom to do what you actually want and support you in helping you be able to pay rent, buy groceries, right? So there's different ways that alignment can shape. And it's unique to the person and what they really are feeling and sensing from their intuition and what is their path, right? And so I've taken this path very far again, and most people would benefit really greatly from having just a clear path of what is unfulfilling for them, out of what is unfulfilling for them at this time, and into a more flexible, aligned role to actualize what you feel called to do. Okay, so that's the essence of the video that I wanted to make today, and I hope you got some value from it. And honestly, if you want help to integrate with your authenticity and align your life towards your true mission, if you feel like you're tired and stuck on a life path that you don't resonate with deep down, if you have a whisper of your inner voice nudging you towards something greater, right? If you want to deepen that connection you have, and if you want a practical way as well to learn how to find an aligned role, an aligned path forward, then the first link below will take you to my private community. This is of other people who are literally in the same boat as you, who are honoring this inner process and embarking on the same journey in a supportive and communal way. Okay. And in the community right now, it's free for the time being. And we meet virtually once a week on Sundays to do what I call authentic gathering. And this is just a space where we come together live on a call. We drop all our masks. We can unload what we're dealing with in terms of friction and the external kind of influences and where we feel stuck. And we can just let ourselves emerge and allow ourselves to practice deepening into presence and listening to what our intuition is guiding us there. And I'm there as a guiding light to help facilitate that for people. Okay. And on top of that, there will soon be foundational blueprints to doing this inner work, and also the practical sense of finding aligned supportive income streams as well. Okay, and then also deep into transcending limiting beliefs and stuff like that. Okay, so I'd love to have you in there if you align with that. And the first link in the description will take you there. You click to join, and there's some questions that you answer. And if I feel you align with the space, I would be very much happy to have you in there. Okay. So first link is that. Second link is one-on-one calls with me directly or mentorships. If you feel called for some more hands-on tailored guidance on your journey, second link will take you there. And if you feel called to do that. Third links are my socials. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Substack or check out my music, that's where I hang out elsewhere. And that's basically the platforms you can find me on. And yeah, so I hope you're well, and I'm sending care and support wherever you are. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and as I enjoyed making it and speaking about these things, because I'm passionate about this. And I hope to see you next time. Take care.